What's happening, guys? Nerd Person Shooter here again. So, um, a little over a month ago, I went to GameStop and found a third-party wired Xbox controller. I got it just in case if something else happened to my current wired Xbox controller that I've been using to play Xbox Series S on. Because unfortunately, that first controller I got when I bought it, the pink one, got really, really bad drift, and I had to buy another one. So, in case that ever happens again, I want to be prepared and have a backup. So, I found this for 30 bucks. I used a $5 Pro coupon and got it for 25 bucks. But another reason why I got it was because in the corner here, it says includes 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate. There's a voucher in here. Now, of course, I was risking it because I had no idea if the voucher was even active, if it had expired. Um, so it was a risk, but for 25 bucks, I think it was worth it, just because I'm also getting a new wired controller. And the voucher worked. I got a free month of Game Pass. I didn't need to buy another month for 30 bucks. I will never buy a month of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for 30 bucks. So, I know I said in my rant video that I wasn't gonna have Xbox Game Pass ever again or whatever, but I think that, every once in a while there's probably going to be a circumstance where I'm able to get another month or, maybe even 3 months at a reduced price. So I was able to play, a few more new games that launched day one on Game Pass, games that were on my wish list, that, my list of games to check out if I did ever get Game Pass again. And those three games were Ninja Gaiden 4, The Outer Worlds 2, and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Two really good games and one really bad game. I'm pretty sure you can figure out which one's the bad game. I'm sure you've heard enough already. As a matter of fact, most of this video is probably just going to be me ranting on about Black Ops 7. But anyway, let's start off with the first game I played, Ninja Gaiden 4. This one really surprised me. In a really, really good way. This is actually the first Ninja Gaiden game that I ended up loving. I love Ninja Gaiden 4. I think that, at least in terms of gameplay, it's the most accessible 3D Ninja Gaiden game to date. It's also the fastest feeling Ninja Gaiden game. I finally played a Ninja Gaiden game where you can sprint. I have finally played a Ninja Gaiden game where you can stealth kill. You can sneak up to enemies and stealth kill them. Granted, you can't like stealth kill the whole game. It's still, very much an action hack and slash game, but there are stealth elements to it, like a real ninja game should have. And it also has a really excellent lock-on mechanic. And I just feel like it meshes really well together, and I loved the whole gameplay experience from start and finish. I loved all the bosses. The enemy variety could have been a little bit better, but I still really, really enjoyed it immensely. Now the story, this being a Team Ninja game, and also a Platinum Games game, they co-developed it. Story was on the back burner, like most Ninja Gaiden games are, like most Neo games are. Maybe not so much Nier. To me, Nier is more story-driven, but as far as like Neo and Ninja Gaiden game, they never prioritize story over gameplay. Always gameplay over story. And, if I could only choose one or the other, I have to go with gameplay, like I don't really care much about story in video games anymore. For me, it's all about whether or not a game is fun, or, the gameplay is engaging, or it's addictive. And here, the gameplay is fucking phenomenal. I have, no complaints about the gameplay. I've already brought it up in my my Game Awards rant video that I think that this game has the best accessibility of the year. It is absolutely incredible how accessible they made it for newcomers who have always had trouble really getting into Ninja Gaiden. That they finally made a Ninja Gaiden game that can be played for everyone, for veterans who want to play it on hard, or to newcomers who want to play through it and kind of breeze through it on story mode or hero mode, as they call it, like me, like I did. But I feel like I've kind of gotten good enough at it to where I might be able to play it on normal mode, actually. Either that or I'm just a little overconfident that I kind of brushed through it on easy. So maybe normal is much harder. I don't know. I do plan on doing a new game plus run at some point. I want to. Like I really want to like get all upgrades and just experience the game all over again. I don't get that feeling with many games these days, but I did. I do with Ninja Gaiden 4, absolutely. So I don't really have much else to say about Ninja Gaiden 4. It's like a 12-hour long game. But there's a decent amount of replayability. There's chapter select, there's new game plus, there's a lot of optional side challenges in each level. I will say though that I don't like the way the new character looks. I forgot his name, shit, but he looks really like emo. He's got like an emo haircut. Not a fan of that. But then again, I'm not really a fan of Ryu Hayabusa's tight black leather dominatrix outfit. So I guess I shouldn't complain too much about the new character's look, because I didn't really much care for Ryu's look either in the previous games. So yeah, my final score for Ninja Gaiden 4 would probably have to be a 9 out of 10. I honestly don't have much complaints, aside from the story being a little on the weak side and, the main character's looking kind of dumb. I was really surprised about how much I ended up really loving this game, to the point where it's probably going to end up on my top 10 games of 2025. Really surprised. This is the first Ninja Gaiden game I played that I'm like, holy shit, this game's like for me. Uh, anyway, yeah. On to The Outer Worlds 2. Now, at least at the time, I remember loving the first Outer Worlds game. But I haven't gone back to it since, and I'm not sure how well it's aged. So I don't really know whether or not the sequel is better, but I'm gonna say no. Now, The Outer Worlds 2, it's still a really good game, in my opinion. Um, but I feel like it's one of those sequels where it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back. I feel like it has a bit more going for it in terms of like RPG aspects. Um, but a lot of it feels unevolved and just kind of I don't know, just kind of less impressive the second time around. Most sequels are kind of guilty of this where you play a sequel to a game. It's like, yeah, this is kind of like more of the same, but because it's more of the same, it kind of loses that special aspect that you had for the first game. It happens. But unlike the Outer Worlds 1, the second one took a long time for me to really get into it. Like the whole first act or like the first region of the game, I wasn't really enjoying it that much. It dragged on a little too long. I suppose the story might be a little bit better. The characters are probably about on par with the first team, although I don't think any of the teammates in the second Outer Worlds are as good as my favorite character in the first one, Parvati. I think Parvati is still the best, teammate in the history of the series so far. I don't think The Outer Worlds 2 is a game that I'm gonna remember, you know, years from now, unfortunately. But I still enjoyed it overall. I still think it had really good shooting mechanics. I still think that the humor is there. It's still pretty funny. It's a mockery of, kind of like corporatist, uh, you know, corporations, and it's kind of like a parody of like capitalism. Um, it's still pretty funny, I still enjoyed it. It's one of those games that I did enjoy a little bit more and more as it progressed, thankfully. One thing I do not like about The Outer Worlds 2, and this is something that I really don't like, is the flaws system. Where like if you do a certain thing multiple times, you gain a flaw. Now, at first, the game lets you decline them. Like if you don't want that extra challenge, you can decline it. I chose to accept a few flaws here and there just to make things like a little bit more interesting. Like my favorite flaw is something that I intentionally put in because this is something that I deal with in real life, where every time you kneel down, your knees crack. Like every time I kneel down, like if I'm in like a game store or if I'm in like a supermarket, my knees will always crack or my joints will or whatever. It doesn't hurt, but it always makes a loud popping noise. So I find it funny how they kind of added that in the game, and it made my character a little bit more like relatable to myself. That was a really humorous flaw, and what it does is it makes it harder to stealth. Like people will like hear your knees pop, like within like a 30-foot radius or something. Not that it really made stealth that much harder for me. I ended up crouching a lot, sooner. When I was in a bandit camp, I was already crouched. So that flaw didn't really feel detrimental to me, but I chose it anyway. Anyway, there were other flaws here and there. One flaw that really sucks is when you steal enough items. If you're, going around buildings and stuff and you're stealing things that don't belong to you without getting caught, you gain a flaw called kleptomania, which causes you to take literally any owned item that doesn't belong to you, regardless of whether you're stealthing or not, regardless of whether you're in the vicinity of or in the presence of other people. Like, it, I got two parts to why I hate this so much. The first part is that's not really how kleptomania works. Like in terms of like a mental illness. Like you don't like when I'm simply trying to like walk around, walk past things. I'm not gonna like unintentionally grab things. Like kleptomania is you're still intentionally grabbing things. You know what I mean? I feel like kleptomania would happen naturally if the player who's playing the game has kleptomania and they just like taking things anyway. But it just it happened a few times to me. I I got it. I didn't choose it, but I was forced to, which that's the second reason why I hate the floss system so much, which I'll get to that a little bit later in a couple minutes. But I really hated how I ended up getting bounties on my head, guards being like, "Hey, like pay, you gotta pay for that." And I was like, "Oh shit, okay, I'll pay the fine." When all I was doing was just walking around talking to people, and then right as I was talking to people, my character instantly grabbed stuff that I wasn't even interested in. Like most of the stuff I was stealing was like really helpful supplies, like if I was really low on first aid, I would feel the need to steal a couple first aid, equipment. But I was like stealing like bottles of fucking beer and stuff. And like, I got bounties. I got unwanted bounties on my head, and it cost me some money. I ended up never needing to like go to jail or anything. The bounty system in this game seems kind of dumb. But at least there is a crime system in the Outer Worlds too, unlike Avowed where there's literally no crime system at all. Like there's no like stealing element in Avowed at all. So the Outer Worlds 2 is a better RPG, but I'm not sure it's a better game. which I'll get to a little bit later. Now, the second reason why I hate the flaw system is that if you accept enough flaws, I think the limit is like 3 or maybe 4. I thought it was 3 for me because I wanted to get the achievement where you accept 3 flaws. As soon as I got that achievement, I got another flaw called flawed, and it made it so that you cannot decline flaws. So I was forced to get flaw after flaw after flaw of stupid shit. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, if you took enough damage from chemicals or something, you get a flaw where like your chemicals damage you even more, but you also have immunity to another status effect. Because flaws in this game do have like a little upside to them, but sometimes it's not worth it. So by the time I finished the game, man, I had like over a dozen flaws just because I was forced to accept them. Like, what the fuck? Like, this happens without warning too. Like, the game doesn't warn you ahead of time that if you accept too many flaws, you'll be flawed like increasingly throughout the game. They really overdid it with the flaw system. I fucking hate it. Um, it almost ruined the gameplay for me. But at least now I know that if I do decide to play through it a second time, I will keep a save like after I get like my second flaw or something. And when I want to get like if I ever play like the PS5 version of it, I'll just fucking keep a save right before my third flaw just to get the trophy and then load my save and then never accept any other flaws, just because I don't want to keep piling up flaws to make it hard on me without my saying so, without my consent. That's not good role-playing elements right there. It's really not. It's more role-playing elements than the first game, but it's not better. So yeah, The Outer Worlds 2, overall, uh, by the end of it, the story was getting really good, actually. Not like great, but, interesting at least. And it kept me engaged enough. I would say, by the third act, I was really enjoying it, despite those flaws. Literally flaws. I was at least kind of starting to enjoy it for what it was, a sequel to The Outer Worlds. Nothing special. It was good, but I'm not sure that I enjoyed it more than Avowed. Avowed, I feel, was kind of a lousy RPG, but at the same time, it was a more consistently good game in terms of just like consistent quality, Whereas The Outer Worlds 2 felt all over the place, at least the Avowed felt like consistently decent or consistently mid in some certain aspects, I don't know, I think I liked Avowed just a little bit more than The Outer Worlds 2, but I do think The Outer Worlds 2 is a better RPG, if that makes any sense. If I still did like decimals, my final score for The Outer Worlds 2 would be a 7.5 out of 10, but I'll be nice and give it an 8 just because the story did pick up and some of the gameplay aspects did pick up a bit. The game had a good amount of like gun variety and stuff, so it didn't really get old. It just took a while to get good, The Outer Worlds 2. I don't think it's as good as the first game. It is a little bit longer, but not a lot longer. It's not like twice as long or anything. I think it took me like 40 something hours to like finish the game and do all the side quests, or at least most of the side quests. Whereas I think in The Outer Worlds 1 it took me like 35 hours. So it's not much longer than the first game. Which to me is good because it didn't overstay its welcome. But I don't know. I think I enjoyed the first one more. I gave the first one a 9 out of 10 and my game of the year at the time, which looking back was probably a mistake just because I don't really remember much of it. You know, it was kind of like a honeymoon game of the year, as opposed to like I look back on this and that was the best game of the year. I'm like, not really. Looking back, I probably would have given it, or I probably should have given it like an 8.5, The Outer Worlds 1, as opposed to a 9. Or was it a 9.5? I better not have given it a 9.5. I thought it was a 9 that I gave the first Outer Worlds game. Anyway, yeah, a 9 for Ninja Gaiden 4 and an 8 for The Outer Worlds 2. Both really good games overall. I especially enjoyed Ninja Gaiden 4 more just because of how much it surprised me, and how much I love the combat in that game. It's like my favorite action combat of the year. Well, maybe Hades 2 more. But yeah, anyway, on to Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Oh my god, where do I begin, guys? You know, I'm no stranger to bad Call of Duty games. Okay, we've had plenty of them in the past 10 years. It's old news, right? It's like it's the thing to make fun of every year it comes out, right? It's like a laughing stock. But at least, with most Call of Duties, there's some redeemable aspect of it, whether it's a zombies map or certain parts of the campaign, or if the multiplayer is still at least pretty fun. Like even like the worst Call of Duties up until now, like Modern Warfare 3 in 2023 or Infinite Warfare, had some kind of unique quality that was like, okay, this is a little bit different, not necessarily better, but it's a fresher take, I guess. Like Infinite Warfare had a pretty interesting campaign. It had like that ship combat, the outer space ship combat, which is pretty cool, but that's not what Call of Duty is supposed to be. But at least that part was kind of fun about Infinite Warfare. Sure, it had an awful fucking multiplayer component, had an awful zombies mode, had awful everything else, but the campaign was pretty cool, you know. Like Black Ops 4, it had no campaign, which was awful, but at least the zombies was pretty cool. The Blackout Battle Royale was, yeah. But up until now, there has never been a mainline Call of Duty that was like absolutely irredeemable in every single component. Black Ops 7, and I'm not over exaggerating when I say this, Black Ops 7 is not only the worst Call of Duty game to date, it's actually one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. When I think of the worst games ever made, or at least the worst games I've ever played personally, I think of like Aliens Colonial Marines, or Duke Nukem Forever, or shit, like Road Rage, that Road Rash ripoff, or I don't know, just really, really bad. Like Fallout 76 at launch. This is that bad. And actually, this is even worse than some of those games I've just mentioned. Let's start with the campaign. The campaign is okay, so the whole game is online only, by the way. The whole game. Nothing is playable offline. So if something happens and, this game bombs in the coming years and they decide to shut this game down, Black Ops 7 will become a memory. It will no longer exist. It is a live service game. I think this might be the first Call of Duty that is like completely live service. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if Black Ops 6 was. I don't know if Modern Warfare 3 2023 was. I could be mistaken. Maybe this isn't the first time, but I digress. This is a live service Call of Duty. So the campaign is online only. There is no pause in the campaign. You can't pause the game even if you're playing by yourself. The campaign is designed primarily for co-op play. That's how I played most of it. I was able to kind of play like drop in, drop out co-op with strangers. And it is so fucking bad. There is no realism at all to be had. They completely threw it away in favor of hallucinogenic drugs. And a lot of the campaign just involves you fighting demons and zombies. Like a lot of the campaign just fucking felt like zombies. A lot of the bosses were just bullet sponge hallucinations of other enemies. There was one notable boss where I can confirm is a skibbity toilet boss that looks like Harper, or what it is Harper from Black Ops 2, because this is a sequel to Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and it shits all over that game's legacy. I think I imagine it makes people hate Black Ops 2 now, which sucks. But yeah, there is a giant, like really like a colossal monster version of Harper with like breathing red gas. I can't put into words how much of a catastrophe this campaign is. It is not fun at all when you try to play solo. It's almost mandatory co-op. And I cannot imagine that many people playing this months from now. The campaign is probably going to be untouchable pretty soon, like unplayable. It takes the worst level of Black Ops 6, because I love the campaign of the last one, Black Ops 6 overall, but that last level where like there was like a hallucinogenic memory fuck up, like it was like you were like exploring memories of the past, was so stupid. That is literally this whole fucking campaign. I guess there were a couple like in between kind of like open world levels where where you do fight like regular operatives, like the main villain's mercenary faction. Her name is Kagan, and she believes that the whole world should be under this hallucinogenic spell. The story is so fucking bad. Oh my god. I'm going to grade each one of these three components, and I will start by saying that the campaign of Black Ops 7 is a 1 out of 10. There is nothing good about it at all. It is a dumpster fire. It is not only by far the worst campaign in the history of Call of Duty, it might actually be the worst single player first person shooter I have ever played in my life. It is worse than Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines on PS2. It is worse than that game. It is worse than Aliens, Colonial Marines. I would rather play through that again. I would rather play through Duke Nukem Forever again. I would rather play through basically any first person shooter. Like, as far as shooters go, like, this is the worst game ever made. This campaign is the worst shooter I've ever played. I'm blown away. Like, they couldn't have done this by accident. Like, no, was this an accident? Were they trying to make it this bad on purpose? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's the worst thing I've ever played. The campaign of Black Ops 7. And to be honest with you, the multiplayer portion wasn't really that much better. Now, a key thing to point out is that they drastically lowered aim assist in the multiplayer, so I had to take more time getting good at aiming in the multiplayer. So naturally, I suck at it. I especially suck at it also because of how sweaty this game is. I am convinced that the only people who bought this game and are playing it right now are Call of Duty fanatics, Call of Duty vets, who do nothing and play nothing but Call of Duty. Like, I play all sorts of games throughout the year. I've played 150 hours of KCD2. I've played 115 hours of Death Stranding 2. I have played 90 hours of Monster Hunter Wilds. I have played, I played 60 something hours of Expedition 33. I've played 70 hours of Avowed. All of these games I've played are drastically different from another. I play all walks of life. I play all different types of games. So excuse me for not being good at fucking Call of Duty, a game that I don't even fucking like. Like, I don't have any interest in getting good or committing myself to. This game is fucking ass, okay? I have no obligations to ever get good at Call of Duty multiplayer, especially the newer ones. The new maps are fucking trash. Like, all the new maps are garbage. And you can tell that they try to make up for it. It's almost like they know that their new maps are garbage when they recycle older maps from Black Ops 2. Maps like the cruise ship hijacked. Maps like Nuketown. 24/7 Nuketown. No one gets tired of Nuketown except for this guy. Like, it's a tiny fucking map with two houses that look like it looks like fucking Thomas the Tank Engine episodes, like fucking cartoony ass fucking Fortnite looking houses with one little road and two broken down school buses in between. Like I've never really liked Nuketown, to be honest with you. It looks like something out of like a little kid's show. Like, what the fuck is this? But it is naturally the most popular among the 10-year-old Call of Duty community. So, yeah, I'll let them have their Nuketown. But yeah, they have Nuketown. They have Standoff from Black Ops 2, which I've actually always liked. What else? They have Express, which is like that train station, which is okay. You know, I'm okay with that map usually. But like, I am not going to give the game credit for recycled content. Oh, which by the way, I completely forgot. Oh my god, I forgot about the end game part of the campaign. I am so sorry, but I have to go back to the campaign briefly. When you beat the campaign, it gives you an end game open world, which is basically the exact same thing as Modern Warfare Z from Modern Warfare 3. Remember that open world extraction zombie shooter that served as the zombies mode in Modern Warfare 3? Yeah, there's an end game of that. Like, they didn't even need to call it end game. They could have just called it MWZ, because that's literally what it is, with the same recycled objectives scattered throughout, with the same different like tiered difficulty regions, you know. Um, and I was actually playing this extensively just to see how far I could level my guy up without dying, because it had kind of like a roguelike element to it. And I got pretty far. I got to like level 40, and I think the max level was like 60, just like doing the same objectives over and over again. And extracting when I was getting close to like the last 5 minutes before you had to extract. And I was doing good so far. Well, one match I successfully exfilled, and I decided to play again. And when I dropped, my level reset. for no reason, back to zero. I had lost hours of progress for no good cause. It'd be different if I had fucked up, if I had overestimated my skills and tried going to the higher levels too early, and then I'd be like, ah, shit, well, that's on me, man. I should have stuck to the lower levels and grinded it out that way, which I was doing, and I was, in an odd sense, I was kind of having a good time with it, and kind of like I don't know, like a mindless, sit down and play a game without thinking type of good time. When I found out that the game fucked me over like that, when my level reset to zero in the end game, I left the campaign. I actually left the game app. I went into the manage data and I uninstalled the campaign, and that was the end of the campaign for me. I will never install the campaign ever again. So yeah, it is a 1 out of 10. It may even be a fucking 0 out of 10. Fuck the campaign. It is a broken pile of shit that is just absolute nonsense, absolute bullshit. It is an insult to not only Call of Duty but gaming in general. I would rather swallow a whole pine cone than install a campaign ever again. I would rather massage my ballsack with a cactus than play the campaign of Black Ops 7 ever again. Black Ops 7 campaign is the worst fucking game I have ever played in my life. There! It's the worst game I've ever played. It's the worst game ever made. But there are other aspects to Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Going back to the multiplayer, not quite as catastrophic, but still terrible. Mainly due to the busted skill-based matchmaking system, the sweaty as fuck players exploiting the fuck out of the Omni movement, and maybe that's part of the reason why I suck at these past two Call of Duty multiplayers, is because when I am trying to play these new Call of Duties, I am not trying to act like a tryhard. I am not trying to use all those fancy footwork maneuvers like fucking like diving sideways and fucking jumping backwards into a room with two enemies and being like and fucking like wall jumping and doing a 360 spin trying to do like a fucking matrix move. Okay, like all these fucking esport maniacs that I'm trying to compete against. Like, it is not a good fucking time. Like, you guys fucking suck, man. Like, you may be amazing Call of Duty players, but you must fucking suck at life. Like, get a fucking job. Okay? Like, I am away 40 hours a week working at fucking Walmart, which, that's no fucking flex, but at least I'm working. These kids must not have fucking jobs. Like, they must not do anything but master the art of the Omni movement in Call of Duty. Like, these kids are like the Bruce Lees of the multiplayer gaming. Like, this is an art, and this is like a fucking sports. This is an art. This is a martial arts of gaming. And I don't care enough for it. The game isn't good enough for me to be like, yeah, I want to be this good at it. It's not like fucking Sekiro where the game quality is like top notch. No, it's fucking garbage. The maps are terrible. I fucking hate Overload. I hate the new multiplayer mode, Overload, which is kind of like I don't know what I can relate it to the most. It's kind of like I don't know, capture the flag, where you take like a thing and you run, try to take it to like the enemy's circle or base or HQ. It's a fucking circle. You get it and you score a goal. I don't like it. Now, eventually I did find out that the game has two separate matchmaking modes. The one I was playing for the longest time that I should not have been playing all this time was quick play, which was actually the open matchmaking, not the skill-based matchmaking. That was when I realized that explains why I was having such a hard time with the Black Ops 7 multiplayer, was because I wasn't aware that I was playing in the open matchmaking mode. I didn't know that quick play, you get to choose your favorite game modes, like, whether it's just like team deathmatch. For me, the only four modes I like are team deathmatch, kill confirmed, domination, and hardpoint. Those are my four go-tos for multiplayer in Call of Duty. And I just didn't know. I didn't. Should I have known better that that was open matchmaking? Because it didn't say open matchmaking. It wasn't. It didn't. It said quick play. I had no idea that meant no skill-based matchmaking. So towards the end, when I was like level 50 or something, or I don't know, maybe it was a little lower than that. I found another matchmaking system. I think it was called standard matchmaking, which I guess is the skill-based matchmaking, and that I was doing a lot better at. I was having a much easier time with standard matchmaking than open matchmaking. Notice how I said an easier time, not a better time. Even in games in the standard matchmaking where my KD was actually positive for once and I was winning and I was in the winning circle and I was like, in the rare occasions where I was actually MVP, I still wasn't enjoying it. I still hate the game. I still hate the whole wall jumping bullshit. I hate Omni movement. I think that might be the biggest reason why I don't like the multiplayer in this game, and I didn't really care much for the multiplayer in Black Ops 6. I don't like the new Omni movement system. I think it's too much. I think it gives the players too much like maneuverable freedom to be absolute dickheads. You know? Like I could do that too. I could act like that. I just choose not to. When I'm playing new Call of Duty, I'm still trying to play it like old Call of Duty, where there is no omni movement and I'm just kind of like playing it casually, right? But no, it's like you have to utilize this shit to really get good at Call of Duty now, and it fucking sucks. So, Call of Duty multiplayer just isn't for me. I absolutely hated the multiplayer, though, in this game. And you know what? It's funny. Like, the last week I had Game Pass Ultimate, when I had finished all three of these games and I didn't really have anything else that I really wanted to play. I actually used that remaining time to install Black Ops 3. A little while ago, I got the zombies. It was like a zombies complete edition, or maybe I don't know. It was like I think it was called Zombies Chronicles edition of Black Ops 3. And I decided to like hop back on, and that's a 10-year-old game, and there's not many people playing it. But I decided to hop on the multiplayer just to see how bad it is, like in terms of like cheaters and like hackers and stuff. And I was never a big Black Ops 3 fan. That was when the series got like way too sci-fi. Or no, Advanced Warfare came before it, but this was even more sci-fi than that. So I never liked Black Ops 3. But when I went back to the multiplayer, I was enjoying it way more than Black Ops 7 multiplayer. And like comparatively speaking, like that speaks volumes as to how much I despise Black Ops 7's multiplayer. That a multiplayer that I never really liked, going back to it after playing Black Ops 7 and actually enjoying it. Surprisingly, there didn't feel like there were any cheaters. There was this one guy who was like really really phenomenal. He was like dominating like every single match. Every side he was on, he won. He carried the whole team every single match. I ended up blocking him just in case he was cheating. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Maybe he just happened to be the best Black Ops 3 player in the world who was still playing Black Ops 3. But I decided to block him just because it was getting kind of boring having him like carry every goddamn match. But yeah, aside from that, I was enjoying Black Ops 3. A game that had wall running, which was stupid, but at the same time, it actually felt less sci-fi than the two new Black Ops games because it doesn't have Omni movement. I think Omni movement, if anything, more than anything, has made Call of Duty feel more sci-fi from a gameplay aspect than anything else. More than double jumping, more than wall running, more than wall hopping. Like Omni movement, I want Omni movement to go away. I really do. So yeah, man, I didn't despise it as much as the campaign, but I absolutely still didn't like it at all. I honestly, I can't really think of anything I liked in it either. I guess I'll give it an extra point just for having the standard matchmaking mode. I'm gonna give it a 2. The multiplayer is gonna get a 2 out of 10. Absolutely fucking terrible. If it's not the worst Call of Duty multiplayer, it's definitely among the worst. The maps are among the worst, the most unbalanced piles of shit. So I guess that just leaves the zombies, and I guess the zombies are the best part about Black Ops 7, but it's still a massive downgrade from the zombies in previous Black Ops games. The zombies map in Black Ops 7 still sucks a big egg. It's a really big zombies map. The problem is it's separated by long stretches of road. Like each pocket of areas are separated by roads that you have to like drive a truck between each area. And it's not good. You know, it's just not good. There are different modes. There's like a survival mode. There's your kind of standard mission mode. There's even a guided mission mode, which I do appreciate, where it actually tells you the objectives as opposed to like being super vague and making you have to look up shit on the internet to be like, what the fuck? Because you know how fucking zombies are in these games. Like it doesn't tell you shit most of the time. Like the whole zombies experience is like a fucking Easter hunt. So I do appreciate, I do give minor praise to having like a patched in, guided mission mode. But even that, when I was playing it, I feel like it almost made the zombies experience worse because it actually exposed how repetitive the objectives were. Like there were so many objectives that were recycled over and over again. Like I'm not I'm not joking. There were recycled objectives where you had to like do weird shit like shoot a clock tower, like a floating clock tower with a turret from the truck like fucking 20 times to reach the climax, like the story climax. Like why? That just exposes how badly designed zombies is and possibly always has been. So it kind of backfires on zombies, it kind of backfires on itself. And the game also does have a Dead Ops arcade, which is okay, I guess, except for when you have AFK players and you aren't allowed to progress a level without them. You know how sometimes if you're playing with one other player, it requires two players to ready up to proceed to the next area. It's okay if you have like if you're in like a four-player team and you have one person who is AFK and the three of you can ready up and then the fourth AFK player will just go on with you. But it got to a point where like the other two players left because they got fed up with this AFK player, and I ended up getting stuck with him alone, and it made the Dead Ops arcade unplayable. So thanks a lot to the AFK players. Thanks a lot to fucking Treyarch and Activision for not doing a goddamn thing about it. They should fucking kick AFK players automatically in Dead Ops Arcade. Because it stops you in your tracks permanently, or at least until they eventually actually play the fucking game. Like what? Like why would you fucking ready up in a game and then leave? Like, are you a troll? Are you a dickhead? So I did not have a good experience in zombies either, in general. Even though it wasn't as bad as the multiplayer, it was still bad. My final score for the zombies is a 3 out of 10. It's one of the worst zombies modes in Black Ops. So this is the worst Call of Duty ever. So when I combine all three of the scores, my final score for the whole product is a 2 out of 10. It is an abysmal game. It is a fucking disastrous product. It is among the worst video games that have come out this year. Oh my god, am I done talking about Black Ops 7 forever? I hope so. It is the worst game that I've personally played this year. I have not played Mind's Eye. Maybe one of these days I'll play that. But honestly, like as long as Mind's Eye has been patched to the point where it's playable, I'd probably prefer Mind's Eye to Black Ops 7. So Black Ops 7 probably is the worst game of the year. It's actually the worst user. It has the worst user rating on Metacritic of the year. And rightly so. It has like a 1.5 on Metacritic, and honestly, that's really not far off with how I'd give it. It's a 2 out of 10. I usually don't agree with Metacritic ratings on Call of Duty games because usually, Metacritic, ratings are really harsh. You got people on the hate bandwagon, giving Call of Duty games, a 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, regardless of whether it's good or not. I personally enjoyed the hell out of Black Ops 6 overall. I gave that shit an 8. But if I were to visit the Metacritic site, it's probably at like a 5 out of 10 on the user rating, which is bullshit. So, Metacritic ratings for Call of Duty is usually harsher than I think it should be, but this is one of those very rare occasions where a Call of Duty game is so horrible that it actually deserves like an overwhelming dislike rating. Like it is unspeakably bad. Like I am still I still can't believe it. Now, Call of Duty has addressed that because of this colossal failure, they are no longer going to do like back to back Call of Duty games, as in, like, the same type of Call of Duty. Like, they're not going to have, like, a Modern Warfare 5 come out right after a Modern Warfare 4, like they did with Modern Warfare 3, and they're not going to have a Black Ops 8 come out next year, like Black Ops 7 did come out, only a year after Black Ops 6. Hopefully I'm not confusing you guys. Hopefully you know what I mean. But in my opinion, they should just stop making Call of Duty games altogether. Like, they should just take a couple years off, rethink what Call of Duty should be, and then just completely reboot the franchise. Just make it good again, make it fresh. Leave out all the fucking microtransactions. Make it consumer friendly. Be there for the consumers. Don't make it a fucking corporate wet dream for all the fucking CEO suits. I think Activision's the problem. They've become a fucking monopoly, and they prioritize profit over quality. They make their developers do the bare minimum and max profit. But I think it's gotten to a point where us gamers are finally snapping out of that spell where we're like, this has gone on too long. This has gone too far. This is fucking trash, and we deserve better. And hopefully, Call of Duty is at least never this bad again. I have no idea what the next Call of Duty is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Modern Warfare 4. Hopefully, it's like Ghost 2. Like that would be cool to have a sequel to Call of Duty Ghosts, which unfortunately, that game ended on a cliffhanger. That game actually had a pretty decent campaign, in my opinion, but it ended on a cliffhanger where the villain literally won at the end. And I would love a sequel to that where you get to fucking absolutely tear that villain apart. It was his name O'Rourke, the main villain of Call of Duty Ghosts. I don't know. I didn't like that game, but I remember kind of liking the story. But yeah, I don't know what they're planning, but to be honest with you, this game has insulted my senses of being a gamer so badly that I don't even care about Call of Duty anymore. Like I don't even want to play a Call of Duty game ever again, unless it's like an older Call of Duty game, like World at War. Like if they made like a World at War remastered, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm playing that. Or like Black Ops 1 remastered or whatever. But yeah, guys, man, this was so horrible that I think I'm done with Call of Duty. And I think I am done with this Game Pass review slash rant. It's become more of a rant than a Game Pass review episode. I'm still sick, kind of recovering from a cold. But honestly, I think I've took the turn for the worst. After talking about Black Ops this long, I feel nauseous. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I feel chills. Like I'm kind of like hot and cold at the same time. So I think talking about this game has making my illness terminal, and I think I'm gonna pass out. I might die. I might. This might be my last video ever. It might. Someone call 911. I think I'm gonna faint.